without brakes. So you'll drive a car, and you also get a lot of thrills by speeding and doing things. So they don't really think before they act. And it's just the immaturity of their brain. So we have to keep this in the back of our minds when we try to parent these children. Instead of screaming and shouting at them, get down to their level, listen to their point of view, listen to their thoughts, and give them full appreciation when they deserve it. Yes, negotiate certain things, but don't impose your own values all the time. Yes, they need to have some ground rules about which pertains to safety, basically, alcohol, drug use, and all, driving driving drunk and stuff like that. Those ground rules should be explained to the child right in the beginning. But beyond that, there's a lot that can be negotiated. The kids shouldn't be picked on all the time, and they should be never screamed at, but listen to them. When they're talking to you, lay down your paper or shut off the television. If the child is telling you something, listen. Put your 2 listening ears on. You're given only 1 mouth, so talk less, but listen, because there's 2 ears. It really builds the trust your child will have in you. And because of that, you'll really be helping your child handle certain things in life, and which, as they grow up, it's whatever their journey holds, they will learn from their mistakes as well. So respect their privacy as well, but listen to their point of view. What you do have to do is always be a loving, supportive parent. No matter what happens, they need to know you're there for them, you love them, you support them, and when they're ready to talk about something, you're there to listen. Instead of screaming and giving your advice about, oh, I expect this, and I had thought you'll do this, and when I did this, and never, ever compare 2 children. Every child has their own personality, they're different, and so it's not good to do that. I think because of the time constraint, I'll let Dr. Ban go ahead and talk about the treatment part. Thank you.
Well, I think we are running out of time, so I will try to summarize it very briefly. One of the things we need to address is the suicide, and I thought I would talk a few minutes because that's one of the major, symptoms and sometimes a fatal event that can happen in any age, especially concerns about teenage. The suicide rate has been increasing in the last several years, and we have to make sure we give them, as Rekha said, we have to listen, we have to understand them, we have to pay attention to their behavior, their symptoms, and make sure we can protect them as much as we can. There are resources. If there is an urgency of any matter, there is, suicide hotlines. There are 911 emergency rooms are available for, immediate intervention. As far as the treatment aspect, we usually do counseling or therapy, and there are medications that are available to treat both anxiety and depression. And we have a lot of trained professionals. So I think these days the insurance companies have an 800 number. People can call and seek an appointment with a doctor or a psychologist or a therapist, and also nurse practitioners are now freely available to get quick access to care. So I will wrap it up here. It's almost 7 o'clock. I won't go through any more slides at this point. We wanted to have some questions, but I don't think we'll be able to do that right now, but maybe another time. Thank you for your attendance and for listening.
Hari Om. Welcome to day 2 of our yagna. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Rekha and Jian for a wonderful talk. Thank you very much. We start our yagna by me saying, please turn your cell phones off. Again today, after Swamiji's talk, we will have the Bhagavad Gita Aarti. So just like yesterday, those who have sponsored for the Aarti or would like to sponsor for the Aarti, please come up front. Aarti sponsorship is $30. Swamiji will be coming here anytime soon. And we will start from verse number 5. Hari Om. Another quick announcement. Tomorrow at 6:40 p.m., we will have a small program which will be hosted by our satellite center in Newton. And a very cute 8-year-old boy is going to sing, followed by a video presentation by our Newton members, adult Newton members. And it would be nice to see what kind of presentation or stage performance they are going to bring. So tomorrow at 6:40 p.m. Thank you.
Otherwise later on we'll be disturbed. Please come in the front. And fill up these center seats as much as you can. Please stay straight, close your eyes gently. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam, Trailokyam Sacharacharam, Tatpadam Darshitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum, Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. We all must have experienced there's times we just know, and yet we cannot do anything to this mind. We know we are suffering. We know we shouldn't be thinking like this. We know we shouldn't be feeling like this. But still, the sheer compulsion of the mind, we don't want to live in misery, and yet, when the mind goes through its moods, we are not able to control it. We are not able to redirect it. We have all experienced this. One who conquers the mind conquers the world. The world that we experience is colored by our mind, and how we transact with the world also depends on our mind. Therefore, how important it is to be the master of this mind rather than to be dictated by the whims and fancies of this mind. Very often there are ambitions in us. We even feel we can do it. And yet, this mind plays its trick and we are not able to achieve it. This 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is not merely a very subtle philosophical chapter that gives us the explanation of why our mind acts in a particular manner, but it is this chapter that also gives us the complete understanding of the mind so that we can be the master of our mind. As we've seen yesterday in the 6th chapter, Bhagavan has said, mind is your best friend, and that mind can be also your deadliest enemy. Now, when the enemy is so strong, so powerful, and that too also in your own house, Then Gar ka bedi, the spy in your house, is the most dangerous. A family member who becomes corrupt or go against the family is more dangerous than any enemy outside. And this mind only is the cause of our happiness, the cause of our sorrow. And when it kicks up its moods, you cannot do anything about it. And that state of helplessness, especially these days when people go through depression, nobody can even help them. Yet they remain in that state. Then we want to take pills. All this shows that the mind controls us. We are not in control of the mind. And when the enemy is so strong, and we don't want to kill our mind, we don't want to destroy our mind, because this mind only, when it comes under our mastery, then this mind is our best friend. Whether you want to achieve material goals and success, whether you want to climb the spiritual heights through meditation, etc., it is finally this mind only. Therefore, this mind has to be attuned, tamed, guided, and to be kept under check. When the enemy is so strong, you cannot use mere force. Try to suppress this mind by force, and it will blow up like a volcano. Or have you seen children? You tell them, you're not going to do this. As long as mummy's finger is raised, they won't. But mummy just goes to the phone to discuss recipes with her friends. Next moment is up to mischief. Our mind is also like that. Then how to tame this mind? Bhagavan in the 6th chapter of meditation has given certain tips. Yet even Arjuna clearly says, and he is a man of focus, even as a teenager, that when his guru said, what do you all see on the tree, to the Kauravas and the Pandavas, everybody saw the bird and the branch and the tree. Arjuna only saw what his guru wanted him to shoot at, and that was the eye of the toy bird. That Arjuna, a man of such concentration and precision, efficient and successful, powerful and mighty, tells Krishna that mastering this mind is like trying to tame a storm. Even the most sophisticated country with the most sophisticated army, with the most powerful technology, when Katrina comes, you know which Katrina I'm talking about, right? Hurricane Katrina. Yeah. I know the other Katrina also creates a hurricane in your mind. But Hurricane Katrina comes, you can only run from there or be blown out. Because even with all our mighty technologies, we are not able to tame, control a storm. Worse than that is our mind, that even if in some way you can escape from a storm, from our own mind we cannot even escape. When the enemy is so strong, it can be only conquered by strategy. not by mere force. And therefore, you must know the strength and weakness of your enemy. In the 6th chapter, 2 things Bhagwan points out, and which is helpful for all of us, therefore I am enumerating here. One is Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena cha grihate. When Arjuna says it is impossible to master this mind, Krishna says, yes, it is difficult but not impossible. And if you have Vairagya and Abhyas, you develop dispassion and through regular practice. Now here for all people, whether you want to become bigger or greater achievers in the world, only people of great mastery can achieve great success. And especially for spiritual students who even are attempting meditation, how difficult is to keep this mind even focused in contemplation. Mind gets its power from its desires, attachments, etc., which compels the mind to go extrovert and go wild. And second is, it is a slave of habit. And whatever is its strength is also its weakness. Whatever is its weakness also is its strength. Mind is a slave of habit. If we have cultivated wrong habits, even when you know it is harmful, just like addictions, it's not easy to stop it. Mind will again go in that direction. Your intellect tells you that this is harmful. The doctors are telling you harmful. All the media is telling you it's harmful. But you can't stop yourself. The power that the mind gets from habit. Therefore, same time, through regular repetition, whether you say japa, regular practice, you create a positive habit. And once you create a positive habit, your mind only becomes your friend, and without any effort, it carries you in that direction. Therefore, first and foremost is be very careful, and prevention is better than attempting even a cure. Never get into any form of addictions. Because afterwards, it is very difficult to give it up. Try not to create repetitive thoughts. And here I will give you one simple hint. Make a list of all negative words that you use. Just like today, wherever you go sometimes to university, the world, no, I don't use these words, but how the world is such a terrible place, world sucks, these kind of words that they use. If that's the words we keep on using, then that's how the world we are going to experience. If you keep on repeating that you can't do anything, you pretty much can't. If you think that everybody in this world is jealous of you, they are. Because what you repeat in your mind, you make it your empirical reality. Therefore, you may change your place, you may change your job, you may change even your life partner. You seem to experience the same thing again and again, because it is the habit of the mind to behave in a particular order, to experience the world in a particular colored frame. And therefore, first thing Vedanta teaches us is stop blaming the world. This blame game that we have, stop blaming the world. Start taming the mind. Now this all Bhagwan has explained. Still we will find that it is so difficult to master this mind, and we wonder why even the best of people can sometimes have the worst of thoughts. And the greatest of all people can make the biggest of all mistakes. It happens with all of us or not? And then why all the people are so different, and we find ourselves also in different stages of our life. We ourselves are so different even throughout the day. So first Bhagwan explains what we saw yesterday, or we heard yesterday, that this whole world, including our equipments, body, mind and intellect, are made of matter. Matter is inert, but matter becomes vibrant, becomes alive, becomes active, and becomes the experiencer when vitalized by the consciousness, the spirit. So when consciousness gets reflected in the inert body, mind and intellect, even our thoughts, our energy patterns, then we have the living being who is the perceiver, feeler, thinker. Now, even though the consciousness is the same electricity goes through all these equipments. The different bulbs have different intensity or color or illuminations. The same electricity goes through an air conditioner and gives you coolness. The same electricity going through a heater gives you warmth. Doesn't it happen? Like yesterday, pleasantly cool, and when you light the lamp for the arti, suddenly it becomes hot. Air conditioner switched to the heater. Same electricity. In electricity, there is no difference. It's the same electricity round the world. The same consciousness, the very same consciousness gets reflected in different pools of thoughts, the different minds. But the differences that we see in the world is because of nature, prakriti, or the mind. Now, how these differences and distinctions are there, which we see in the world as many different qualities. Our rishis were very good at classification, and the multiplicity of experiences that we have depends upon these three, at best we can say, moods of the mind, which is called as gunas. The very word guna, very often taken also as property or qualities. Guna also in Sanskrit means rope. So these are qualities that bind. See the word guna itself, these are properties that bind. Now if you say these gunas are qualities, they are not even qualities, at best you can say they are the moods of the mind because of which you see the various manifest qualities. I am explaining this because then you will understand the depth of the meaning. Actually in this world, even in science, you know that nothing can be pointed out or defined in its true nature. We only recognize even a disease by its symptoms, when it manifests itself. You call it fever, but fever is not the disease. Fever is the expression of a particular disease. Why this is important to know? Because we keep on judging. Just because somebody is sitting quiet, is sattvic. Somebody is active, rajasic. And somebody is quiet and not doing your work, tamasic. Or we have these people going for the spiritual retreat and just walking as though they are floating. Very sattvic. These are very subtle moods which are recognized through their expression, and therefore Sri Krishna is now attempting to indicate these gunas which are Maya, and Maya has not got these as her properties. This is a little subtle. Don't worry if you don't even pick it up right now. The important part is to recognize its symptoms. Maya or mind is these three gunas. And in their different permutations and combinations, they express as this complete world of our different experiences and varieties. Now this is what now Bhagavan starts explaining in the 5th verse.
प्रकृति संभवाः
Guna prakriti sambhavaha
निबध्नन्ति महाबाहो
nibaddanti mahabaho
देहे देहिनमव्ययम्
dehe dehinam avyayam. Now the infinite consciousness, the infinite self, which is the same in everyone, but we are not able to recognize and as though remains bound due to our ignorance. Here Bhagavan explains that sattvam rajaha tamaha iti, these named as sattva, rajas and tamas, these gunaha, these moods, prakriti sambhavaha, they are born of prakriti. Why I explained all this thing? Because in case somebody of you are reading Shankaracharya's commentary, etc., the argument there is that these three gunas are prakriti. They are not born out of, actually the volume is not right. They are not born out of prakriti. But to point out to us they are recognized when they manifest in different manners. I'll explain this very simply as we go on. But little subtlety to understand that these three moods make up our mind. They are our mind. But we recognize them when they manifest as certain moods, certain thoughts, certain behavioral patterns, certain experiences. We begin to recognize them. And nibadhanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. That unchanging, unmodifying, indestructible consciousness as though gets bound by these three gunas as someone would tie a rope and bind someone. And this is so beautifully seen in Krishna Leela. Those of you who are there for the Mahasamadhi camp, those who are not there, you must have major FOMO. So the next Mahasamadhi camp in San Jose, do not miss it for anything. The famous story of Yashoda Maya trying to tie Krishna to the mortar. Krishna represents the infinite, even though in the boy form. And therefore she goes on tying rope after rope after rope after rope, adding to that rope, but still she can't tie him, because the infinite cannot be bound or tied up by anything finite or limited, and that too also illusory. So as such, the Atma, the self of everyone, cannot be bound. But let me tell you how this bondage takes place. Very peculiar is this bondage. How many of you sometimes see yourself in the mirror, and if that mirror somehow the other, or the light of the lamp which is reflecting into the mirror kind of moves, and you get this eerie feeling that you get a dizzy feeling? I'm sure you must have experienced this. Okay, more gross. Not only when you were children, not even when you were children, even now, your shadow that you see. That's why there was one man, he was screaming away every time an aeroplane passed from there. They said, what? Why are you screaming? He said, the aeroplane is crushing me, crushing me. First of all, an aeroplane flying so high cannot crush you. So how are you being crushed? He said, see, the aeroplane is going over my shadow. Now, we may laugh at this joke, but I tell you, how many times you're standing in the sun, your shadow is falling, and if someone spits, it's India. How will you move your shadow? Now, somebody spits on your shadow, you will not get dirty. I mean, you are quite intelligent people, yet, if somebody is stepping on your shadow also, don't you do that? This is called as illusion. This is called as Maya. This is the trick of the mind. These properties in the mind, they keep on changing so fast that you identify with it. Not that you are actually bound by it, you identify with it for a moment. Like the shadow, whatever happens to shadow cannot happen to you, but in your mind, you get affected or not? Yeah. You withdraw from it or not? Yeah. Or when lovers go out, see your own shadow, how you start thinking it is you, and how you start getting affected when really nothing is affected. This is the way the mind tricks you. Otherwise, the infinite self cannot be bound by even the mind. If it was contained in this body, mind and intellect, just like air in the balloon, you could take it from here, there, press it, etc. But the infinite is not confined in the finite. Now, why is this knowledge so important? That really the mind is, the self, the consciousness is not bound. But this unique identification that takes place out of ignorance, this false identification that takes place between you and your reflection, then creates, according to the texture of the mind, the different experiences we have of joy, sorrow, success, failure, etc. And we get so entangled in it that we remain bound. And yesterday, as I pointed out, we are not free to be happy. We are not free to be peaceful. We are not even confident to be successful. So here a good understanding of the mind is required, that how does these gunas bind the infinite self? Now, one more subtle matter I will point out to you. In the worst of people, the most vulgar of people, when we see a little trace of goodness, you glorify that, is it not? That's why everybody is trying to look out. Even Ravan did this. No? Even Ravan sometimes regrets. Kamsa also, if you see Bhagavatam, regrets being bad. Why this happens? And our mind, which is somewhere in between Ram and Ravan, yeah, Sita and Surpanakha, yeah, between Hitler and Mahatma Gandhi, yeah, somewhere in between it is. It's not like, we are not extremist. We follow the middle path. Okay. Now those who follow the middle path, they can sway this way, they can sway that way. Now why does this sway happen in the mind? If you understand this, you will neither condemn yourself and think yourself to be helpless, nor you got proud and arrogant in your goodness. Since our mind or our personality, our identity is made up of these two, the divine infinite consciousness as well as the ever-changing and therefore illusory matter, and since our mind is made up of both these, it has a natural tendency of matter to attract matter. Yeah? Therefore, most of the time, our mind is constantly wanting, desiring, acquiring the ever-changing world of matter. But it also has in it the divine consciousness. Therefore, also sometimes, like Surpanakha, you don't know the character, don't worry about it, but you should know it. Ravan's sister Surpanakha, even Surpanakha gets attracted to Ramchandraji. Yeah? So you'll see our mind goes towards, even in the worst people, now and then suddenly they become spiritual. Or do some goodness. Or think good. And even in the best of people, there is gravitation towards matter. If you have understood, it is because of this combination of the two. Therefore, the spiritual and the material, the good and the bad, the divine and the evil seem to coexist, and there's of course something in between also. It coexists as though in every individual, because at this moment we are not able to discriminate between matter and spirit. Because of our ignorance and our delusory false identifications. Therefore, don't despair. At one time, the mind craves for inert objects, desires for it, has passion for it, and suddenly it has this passion for it and suddenly becomes very spiritual. No. It is because of this. Then you will understand how these three gunas work. So these three guna, tamas, rajas, sattva, they have no equivalent translation in English or in other languages. At best we find a vocabulary, tamas or tamaha, darkness, rajas, coloring, and therefore agitation, and sattva, calmness and purity. So it's translated very often as darkness, activity, purity or calmness. These are also only expression of these gunas. No? These are expression of these gunas. Just as when the phone is on silence, when it starts ringing, and when it is switched off. See? So you know the difference now, no? Same phone. When it's not ringing, appears to be calm, but it is active. It's not switched off. In the same way, these three gunas operate. And when you know these three gunas clearly, then you can know that in which mood your mind is. Now these three gunas by themselves cannot be defined, but they are indicated through their expression, their symptoms. And when you have those symptoms, you recognize that you are in sattva, rajas or tamas. And if you know what constitutes the mind and how you can use these moods favorable to you, rather than suppressing the mind, you make them favorable to you. Now they are also, when they are in the natural state of equilibrium, all these three are required. For example, you need to sleep to revive, is it not? That tamas is not bad tamas, as you say. In this world, you need activity. Even to listen to this discourse, you require activity. Action itself is not bad or good. It is because of rajas that activity is possible. At the same time, sattva, equanimity of mind, calmness of mind to gain more knowledge. We require all these when they are in their natural state. But when there is an admixture or they go out of balance, that's when you experience the effect of all three. So, having explained this, Bhagavan, now he goes to point out what is the expression of sattva, and through its expression, through its symptoms, you can recognize whether the mind is, and it's not for judging others. You can recognize when your mind is in sattva, rajas or tamas. Now Bhagavan says,
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakamanāmayam sukha sangena badhnāti jnana sangena chanagha.
addressing Arjuna as Anagha. Probably it is the only philosophy, religion or scripture that does not call you a sinner. Today in modern psychology you have understood that the more you go on condemning a child, the child becomes that. Because you are affirming that to the child. You are misbehaving, you are willful, you are stubborn. You are actually making the child in that manner. But for a spiritual student, if pride and arrogance is harmful, also unnecessarily self-condemnation, guilt is even more harmful. Addressing through Arjuna all of us as Anagha, sinless. And sin does not mean some crime done against God. Again, in English we use the word sin and we will understand it only in the convent sense. Agha, that which causes restlessness, remorse, agitation, sorrow in you. Thus Gurudev used to say, you are not punished for your sins. You are punished by your sins. Any action or thought that rebounds back on you to create remorse and sorrow to you, that itself is called as sin. And whenever you go away from your natural state, there is always a sense of restlessness. That is called as Agha. And called him as Anagha. Now for a spiritual student particularly, if you've heard even Kabir Das ji, now this all is for you to introspect and recognize where your mind stands. If you know your mind, then only you can attune your mind, tame your mind, guide your mind. And therefore, you have to be ruthlessly honest to yourself. Not like, when you first learn palmistry. Have you noticed? All of you must have tried. That when you read the book of palmistry and you see any line, I've also got this line. Oh, lifeline is long. Then you say, yeah, I've got a long lifeline. Then they says that there is another line on the side. Oh, I have that. But then it says that line, if you have on the side, your life will be cut short. No, I don't think so. That's the line, no? If you really want to progress in your life, examine yourself, introspect yourself, and be honest with yourself. Then only you can recognize what you need to change within yourself, what you need to correct within yourself. What is the cause of your failure, your problems, or even the reaction that people have to you? You can change that once you recognize that that is the cause of your problem. Blame the world outside, and you want the world to change for you to be happy, for you to be successful. Therefore, we constantly are waiting for the economic situations to change, the political situations to change. Then I will be successful. See how much we condition ourselves. We are waiting for that, time where there will be no problems, then we will meditate. Yeah? Is it not? We are waiting for the world to change, to be completely suitable to us. Then only we will attain our success. Then only we will attain our enlightenment. Yeah? Then only our relationships in the world are going to work. Yeah? When my wife changes, otherwise life is, or my husband changes. An achiever, a true spiritual seeker, is one who examines himself or herself. Dissecting others and trying to find out what are cures is not a sure means, like experimenting on yourself and finding the cure. So same way, now that Krishna is going to point out to us sattva, rajas and tamas, majority of us will be afraid to examine ourselves. Because we'll find that we are majority tamasic only. That's how you will tell yourself. Outside you might pretend anything, but inside you might think like that. Krishna having explained what is sattva. And when we are honest to ourselves, as spiritual seekers, first we begin to see our flaws and our negativities that concern us or even frighten us. And it's not that we don't know them. We suppress them, we put a facade on ourselves, we wear different masks. This chapter is to demask ourselves. And what you might find inside may not be as bad as you think it is. In fact, it might be more beautiful, more enriching, more divine than you ever imagined yourself to be. Only we show ourselves to be very divine because whenever we look and examine ourselves, we only try to see our negativities at first. That's why most people don't spend time with yourself. Why has these cell phones become so much a part of our life that the only place where you could reflect upon yourself was on the toilet seat, and even there the mobile phone goes. Huh? And that Siri is hearing your sound effects. Yeah. And who is watching what on the camera, you have no idea. As Gurudev once said, spend some time with yourself. Every day, early in the morning, late in the evening. Where there's not even a book to read. Just self-observation. Nothing else. Self-introspection. Just be with yourself. And it's to laugh and say, if you don't like your company, don't impose it on others. See, this one word that Krishna is using for Arjuna and through Arjuna for all of us sitting here. You would not be sitting here if you were agitated people and like some of them, suddenly in between, get up, even if it's to go to the toilet. Rare are those few. You would not be sitting here if you did not have a predominant sattvic mind. As much as you might think that you are very passionate and you are very, desirous and ambitious and materialistic, you cannot be here. And Krishna is not just, in Indian language, chadawing you. Yeah. The fact that Arjuna in the battlefield is attentively listening like you all, you are anaga. Kabir Das ji says, Bura jo dekhan main chala, bura na milya koi, jo man khoja apna, mujhse bura na koi. Why we are so afraid to introspect ourselves and we are busy gossiping about others? Because we can recognize our flaws and our flaws glare, or even other people's flaws glare more to us than our strength and our beauty. Therefore, Krishna first calls Arjuna as anaga. That I'm not classifying or I'm trying to hint to you that you are a tamasic fellow. Hey anaga, tatra sattvam nirmalatvat. Sattvam, because of it being stainless, mala, dirt. Now what is dirt? Would you call chocolate as dirt? No, is it not? But when those chocolate flakes on the chocolate cake falls on your designer clothes, anything other than it, what happens? Is called as dirt. Yeah? When your mind is cluttered by, say, unnecessarily things, you will call it as a muddy mind, dirty mind. Is it not? I'm not talking dirty in the dirty joke kind of sense. No? When there are impurities in the mind, it is a muddy, dull mind. But nirmalatvat, it being clear, and there's a lot of suggestion here about sattva, so that we desire sattva. It being clear, prakashakam, therefore luminous, anamayam, amayam, some dis-ease, anamayam, free of disease. And see, the word disease itself is such a wonderful word, is it not? Whatever causes you dis-ease is a disease. And when do you have disease? When you go away from your natural state of health. These days, health is unnatural. The day you feel good, it's so unnatural for you. Because it's become so common for you to feel migraines, backaches, stomach aches, indigestion. That the day you don't feel all this, you wonder, are you dead? So, anamayam. Now this is the nature of sattva which is pointed out. Now, to just make it clear to you as an example, the sun and its light is brilliant and it pervades in the daytime the whole world. I mean, at least that part of the world which is under the sun. Now, directly you can't see the sun because it will blind you. So you take a reflecting medium, not even a mirror, say a water bucket. Now, if that water bucket is clear, not muddy, you will see the reflection of the sun almost as brilliant, clear, luminous as the sun itself. Now, if the water in the bucket with the wind that comes starts shaking, you will find that the reflection is also trembling and there is no clear form of the sun. And if it's very agitated, you will see light, but you will not be able to see the form clearly. Now, suppose you have put cow dung in that or mud in that and it is dirty. So, even the light is falling on it. In its light, you are seeing the dirty pool of water, but you cannot see any brilliance in the water. Now, same way our mind is a continuous flow of thoughts and therefore like a pool of thoughts. When the mind is quiet, it is clear from ulterior motives, etc. When the mind is still in the highest state, it is still as in the highest meditation, the complete brilliance of consciousness is experienced in it. And consciousness being awareness, its luminosity, its radiance, its capacity to know. The mind is a combination of both these. The consciousness is ever luminous, ever aware, ever brilliant, ever peaceful, Shantam, Shivam, Sundaram, but seems to get distorted when the medium is muddy and distorted. So, when the mind is pure, clear, steady, and calm, that is the state of sattva. And what is recognized in that state is that the mind is bright and brilliant. What we pray in Gayatri Mantra, Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. It's what you call as the brilliant intellect. When Archimedes' mind was restless, trying to find out the solution to measurement of the volume of irregular objects, and he knows that if he does not find it out now, his funding will go away. So, mind agitated, restless, he could not have the clarity. Today for us it might be very simple, but the scientist Archimedes could not find out how do you measure the volume of irregular objects. But when his mind was calm, that's why I said toilet seat, don't take your mobile phones. Because shower also, there is something happening, but in the tub, you really don't know what to do. Your mind becomes calm, and in that calm mind, inspiration rises. Discovery rises. When you say luminosity, it can illumine, it can discover things which may be obviously there in front of you. So when Archimedes went into the tub and the water fell off And that's the only day he was not worried that will my wife scream at me. Suddenly he said, the volume of water displaced by an irregular object can be measured. Yeah? So because of it being calm and pure, it has luminosity. Now in such a calm and peaceful mind, that Ananda Swarupa Atma, the self which is of the nature of bliss, gets reflected as happiness. This is again subtlety. Happiness is not in eating a chocolate cake or drinking a cup of coffee. Whenever your mind is calm, you feel a sense of happiness. Even when you're passionate about getting some object, the moment you get that object, that moment, for a brief second, your mind becomes calm. And that's why you experience happiness. No? But you get cheated by the mind only, which says that happiness came from that cup of coffee. Because misassociation. But what happened the moment you were craving for that coffee and that coffee went inside you, that moment your mind for that brief second became calm. If you can maintain that calmness, you can prolong your happiness. These are secrets. Although the verse is just explaining to you, but what is the practicality of it? Keep your mind calm, keep it free of ulterior motives, keep it free of negative thinking. First is try not to create such negative thinking habit. But the moment you remove these negativities, even temporarily, that is the attempt in meditation. When you temporarily remove it, the peace, the joy that you experience at that time. Therefore, it is said that these three gunas bind. Sattva binds you to happiness and knowledge. Now, why is it called as bondage? Because it gets you attached to it. Now, I'll give you an example. When I was traveling to various countries, even in the 1990s, Gurudev sent me to various countries of the world. Many times, if I was going to some cities, people used to tell me, "Arey, we know those people there. They are highly materialistic people. They are actually arrogant, obnoxious." They were their friends though. They would laugh at me, "Why are you going to these places?" I used to say, Gurudev traveled round the world. In fact, these places needed more than anything else. They said they will not even listen to you, they will not even come. But these were the places where you had maximum crowds, maximum Bal Vihar started, maximum study groups started. And no doubt, they were highly materialistic people. Where most of their conversation was money, 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 money. But they realized how agitated their mind was and that want for peace was there in them. I went to a neighboring smaller towns where people were so good, so nice. Very family-like atmosphere in those cities. Everybody knows everybody. And really speaking, no progress would happen there. And that's why you hear this conversation and be very careful when you utter these words. Whenever your mind is pure, your mind is good, you experience, though it's relative, you have this peace and happiness. that is also not everlasting happiness. That's not the nature of the self. That's just a reflection of happiness. And because that goodness of your behavior and a good life, like I told you about that gentleman yesterday from Florida, everything is going good in life, he's a good man. Why do I need anything else? And when I conduct this course like Make It Happen, generally a lot of people who thought who had attained the highest ladder in the corporate, highest level in the corporate world, like CEOs or managing directors or chairmen, they would come and say, what is there for me to gain? They teach these youngsters, who still have to climb up the corporate ladders. But even in our material progress, even in the best of achievers, you come to a plateau because you get attached to your success, that you cannot progress more. See, even sattva, we get bound by that little piece or temporary happiness that we get. And in sattva, knowledge takes place. And suddenly we become so attached, we want more knowledge, more. We don't realize that we are not getting knowledge, we are getting more information. That knowledge which we do not apply remains as information to us. See how beautifully Krishna has explained, and I'm explaining to you in details with its subtlety and practical applications, that sukha sangena badnati jnana sangena chanaga. It binds you, but he tells to Arjuna, don't think that you will come under the next category. So listen, don't run. Don't listen to the next categories, because even the fact that you are here and listening, you are of the sattvic bend of mind. Now about Raja.
Rajo ragatmakam vidhi Trishna Sanga samudbhavam Tani badhnati Kaunteya Karma sangena dehinam.
Hey Kaunteya. And whenever Krishna wants to talk about action and how action can be done with detachment, all of us must be reminded of our mothers, who are so active, but their actions are done out of love. And therefore, they don't get bound. But the moment attachment comes in, they get bound, agitated, disturbed. Raja ragatmakam. Raja is of the nature of raga. Now, English is translated as passion, and nowadays we use passion in different ways. Some negative, some very positive. You must have a passion for your profession. No? So that's why youngsters today will say, oh, what is it? Now when you say ragatmakam, raga, ranjanatmakam, that which colors, that which projects. In fact, every object is like that golden deer that Sita saw. Yeah? Before you marry someone, he's Prince Charming and she is an angel. Yeah? Because you imagine. You color. So, it of the nature of coloring, ragatmakam, Trishna Sanga Sama Udbhavam. It creates in the mind Trishna, desire, and Trishna means thirst. And you know, when you are thirsty, you are so desperate that you will do anything to get water. That's how desires come in. And when you get something that you want, and you experience that brief moment of quietude and happiness, you think it came from that object, and then to preserve that happiness, you get attached to that object, thing, being, situation, position. And therefore, Sangha. You get attached to it. And these two are the recognition of Rajas. You get attached to it. And hey Kaunteya, look at your mother who brought you up with all her service and her activities. And yet, she didn't turn out to be a sentimental, attached mother that when she has to send you to the battlefield, she says, go do your duty. That for which a warrior's wife gives milk to her children like the lioness. Now go fulfill your duty. Either you die in the battlefield or win and come. But do not escape from the battlefield and insult my milk. That is that Kunti, and you are her son. That hey Kaunteya, that this Rajas binds you through karma, action, and the result of action. Both meaning. So, karma, because to fulfill your desire and to preserve what you are attached to, you are forced into activities. And therefore the mind is always restless and active. And then we'll just see what tamas is. We don't need any explanation for that. Yes.
Tamastvajnanajam vidhi Mohanam sarvadehinam Pramadalasya nidrabhihi Tani badhnati bharata.
Now again addressing Arjuna as Bharata, one who revels in light. See, all positive names given to Arjuna. That tamastu agyanajam. Tamas is born out of ignorance. Mohanam sarvadehinam. In fact, all embodied beings, those who are living identified with the body, it is because of their ignorance. And what does it attach you to? Oh, its attachments are very interesting, no? Pramada, forgetfulness, carelessness. Alasya, laziness, boredom. Nidrabe, want to sleep all the time. You say, no, we definitely don't fall under that category. We don't get sleep, we got insomnia. But sleep is not just the physical sleep, which of course you need and you should sleep. The right time, but you see at the wrong places sleep will come. Sleep also represents living in ignorance where there is no clarity, there is no progress, there is no innovativeness. So it binds you to these three. And you know, when people go through depression, locked in dark rooms, they can't sleep also, but they're just lying down all the time. You know, so this is tamas. And addressing Arjuna as Bharata, that definitely you may have rajas, you may have sattva, but this tamas, that depression that you were getting into, does not befit you at all. So don't be lazy. Don't be careless. For you are one who revels in light. Now, having explained these three gunas and how these three gunas limit us, bind us, now Bhagavan will go to explain further about these gunas and what is the result that we experience because of these gunas, so that we understand that if we want positive results in our life, in what mood, in what spirit we should act, and how from tamas, rajas, we reach sattva, and finally transcend sattva. And who is the person who has transcended all bondage, all limitations? So this is the theme of this chapter. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Of Hinduism. It consists of the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras, and the Bhagavad Gita. Adi Shankaracharya wrote copious commentaries on this Vedic canon in Sanskrit. The Upanishads beautifully establish the identity of the Atman and the Brahman. Pujya Gurudev felt deeply and took it upon himself to provide this profound knowledge to be available to everyone. Gurudev has written English commentaries on 9 Upanishads to spread this message to all. Even the introductory sections in these Upanishads inspire me to be a better me. But many of us question why it is so important to understand the truth about myself. Quoting Gurudev, by thus realizing the beats in us, not only do we open up a few windows in our inner personality to bring more light into us, but we will be a source of joy, cheer, and happiness for others to draw their inspirations from us. By improving yourselves, improve the world. Now, the Holy Gita is a commentary written in English of the Bhagavad Gita. It is the most widely sold text and is most applicable to life. The Holy Gita is well known and deals with all aspects of life, physical, mental, moral, and spiritual. It teaches us to develop a well-defined personality, a strong character, by taking us to our roots to unfold our potential. Pujya Gurudev's commentary is profound and yet easy to understand and is considered as the best commentary of the Bhagavad Gita in the world. We are indeed blessed to have Swamiji with us to explain the 14th chapter of this very commentary. So please go to the bookstore and check out the Holy Gita and the Upanishads. If you have the texts, cherish them. If you do not have the texts, purchase them. And if your families or friends do not have them, gift them. A quick note on the teen camp held for ages 12 to 17 in Coimbatore in December this year. Grab this fantastic opportunity made for young, growing minds to be with Swamiji himself. This camp is based on 24 gurus of Avadut. If you are interested in registering for this camp, please contact Krishna Gorur. If we have a few kids, we can arrange for a group to go together and will be fun. Hari Om. Everyone who has sponsored for Aarti today, please come in the front.
जय भगवद गीते मैया जय भगवद गीते हरि हिय कमल विहारिणी प्रभु हिय कमल विहारिणी सुंदर सुपुनीते जय भगवद गीते कर्म सुमर्म प्रकाशिनी कामासक्ति हरा मैया कामासक्ति हरा तत्वज्ञान विकासिनी तत्वज्ञान विकासिनी विद्या ब्रह्म परा जय भगवद गीते निश्चल भक्ति विदायिनी निर्मल मलहारी मैया निर्मल मलहारी शरण रहस्य प्रदायिनी शरण रहस्य प्रदायिनी सब विधि सुखकारी जय भगवद गीते राग द्वेष विदारिणी कारिणी मोद सदा मैया कारिणी मोद सदा भव भयहारिणी तारिणी भव भयहारिणी तारिणी परमानंद प्रदा मैया जय भगवद गीते आसुर भाव विनाशिनी नाशिनी तमरजनी मैया नाशिनी तमरजनी दैवी सद्गुणदायिनी दैवी सद्गुणदायिनी हरि रसिका सजनी जय भगवद गीते समता त्याग सिखावनी हरि मुख की बानी मैया हरि मुख की बानी सकल शास्त्र की स्वामिनी सकल शास्त्र की स्वामिनी श्रुतियों की रानी मैया जय भगवद गीते दया सुधा बरसावनी मात कृपा की जय मैया मात कृपा की जय हरि पद प्रेम दान कर प्रभु पद प्रेम दान कर अपनों कर लीजय मैया जय भगवद गीते जय भगवद गीते मैया जय भगवद गीते हरि हिय कमल विहारिणी प्रभु हिय कमल विहारिणी सुंदर सुपुनीते मैया जय भगवद गीते मैया जय भगवद गीते मैया जय भगवद गीते।
बोलिए कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की
Cut.